Díomh is mis a Vicky ní Lanagan, fáilte roimh chuig Sacred Sessions Ireland. Tágamid le céile ar lína gach seachtain thun ceangail a chothú leis an talún fanathe d'Éireann. Hello, my name is Vicky Flanagan. Welcome to Sacred Sessions Ireland, where we gather every week online to connect to the sacred land of Ireland. As you may have heard, I'm relearning Irish, so forgive me if my pronunciation isn't perfect. So I am an intuitive energy worker and Reiki master and daughter of Ireland. So for people that want to work with me one-on-one, I do offer energy healing at a distance online and also now in person in Trim, County Meath. So these sessions today are sacred sessions, and they're connecting us to the sacred sites of Ireland, a way to rebuild our connection to the earth, to the land, and to ourselves. They are free or donation based, and yeah, all are welcome. So I do recommend joining the live sessions so that we can share our insights and experiences and also ask questions and learn from each other. So today I'm really excited as we celebrate being human with Fourknocks. So Fourknocks is a hidden gem in the Royal County of Meath. It's about 16 kilometres from Newgrange. So Fourknocks is a megalithic passage tomb. It's far less visited than Newgrange. So unlike Newgrange, there's no visitor centre. It's open to the public, so open, in fact, that you can actually gain entry to the tomb by getting a key from the local farmer. So yeah, it's a really sweet and quaint mound there. So Fourknocks is about 5,000 years old, and the Fourknocks name is derived from the Irish Fourknocks, which means cold hills. So that seems about right, because for my visit, it was very, very cold. It's almost like there's like a wind trap just where that mound is, the passage tomb is. So wrap up warm if you do go to visit. Locals say that if you walk around this passage grave or the mound three times clockwise, you'll have good luck. So I found that really interesting, because when I visited Fourknocks myself, I felt really called to walk around the cairn at least once and leave gifts and offerings at either end of the tomb. So it seems like this theme of moving in a clockwise or even counterclockwise motion around these sacred structures it seems to be really common in a lot of the sites around Ireland, and it leads me to think that they're likely connected to the spiral. So the spiral is a really common engraving most of the monuments in Ireland, and what we found through these meditations and sacred sessions Ireland is that they tend to unlock parts of ourselves and activate our own source energy within. So yeah, it's really, really special and interesting how these pockets of information are shown up typically after I visit a place. So it's nice validation from what I'm feeling into. So when it comes to the tomb itself, or the passage grave itself, the mound that I visited is known as Fourknocks 1. So I didn't know this at the time, but there's actually 3 mounds or monuments. So Fourknocks 1 is under guardianship of the state. So that means that it's open to the public and we can actually enter the tomb. And then the other monuments reside nearby on private land. So they're unkept and they're like wild with overgrowth. These represent the hidden aspects of this small complex. Fourknocks 1 and Fourknocks 2 are actually very close to each other and similar in their makeup or their design. I didn't notice Fourknocks 2 or the third monument when I went to visit. So it goes to show how hidden this aspect is of the complex. And it also feeds into that energy that I was picking up on. So these 2 mounds, Fourknocks 1 and Fourknocks 2, are seen as twinning or like sister mounds. So their kind of makeup symbolizes that yin yang energy, so opposites of the same whole. So for example, Fourknocks 1 goes upward, the passageway goes upward, whereas Fourknocks 2, the passageway goes downwards. Fourknocks 1 passageway originally had no roof, so it could have been, an observatory where we could see, where there was access to seeing the stars. Whereas Fourknocks 2, that passageway did have a roof and it was on higher ground, so it was less accessible. These sister monuments probably were used for ritual, where Fourknocks 2 maybe to prepare bodies for cremation and actually the cremation process, and then Fourknocks 1 was used for the burial. We know this because bone fragments of at least 60 humans, men, women, and children, were found in the passage tomb, along with grave gifts like beads, stone beads, and pendants. There was a really beautiful antler pin that was found, and flints and things like that. So we know, what I think is really interesting is we know from sacred sites like Newgrange and even the pyramids of Giza that the people of the time believed that when we died, we went back into the stars. We went home to the stars, our original form. So I wonder if maybe Fourknocks, that open roof, was purposely to allow, maybe the human spirit or the human soul of the people that were buried there to return to their original home in the stars. After all, there were human remains found in the passageway. Typically, the burials happen in the chambers or the recesses within the graves. So Fourknocks has an incredibly large chamber and a short passageway. I think it's 42 square meters, whereas Newgrange is around 16 square meters. It's much, much smaller Newgrange, even though it's a really, really large mound. So it's interesting that they chose to bury their dead with an open roof in the passageway, so they had that access to the stars. Also, there's other information that also complements this. So Fourknocks has really beautiful abstract art, including what is to believe the first depiction of the human face in prehistoric art. And then the most prominent abstract art is the zigzags. So there's lots and lots on a lot of the large stones there. So Martin Brennan, who does a lot of work, or had done a lot of work around the sacred sites, he believes that the zigzags represent Cassiopeia, which is the W-shaped constellation. And that would have been visible from Fourknocks during the Neolithic period. I don't know much about astronomy myself, but it seems quite apparent that astronomy was an incredible influence and motivation for the people of the time to build these really beautiful and intricate structures. It seems to be a common theme everywhere. So what confuses kind of explorers is how a passage grave is consistent with an observatory. So people can't understand. It's like left brain, it doesn't make sense. When we look at the art of the time and inside the chambers, it's very difficult to piece these parts together when we're only using one part of our brain, when we're only using one part of ways of exploring, like archaeology, for example. It's so important that we tune into our own intuition, our own truth, when we're perceiving and interpreting these areas, these spaces, because not only does it hold a lot of ancestral meaning and history, but we can also learn from it, and there's no information to tell you that you're wrong. So it's a great way to build up your own and strengthen your own intuition and lean into what you feel, rather than always going into the mind of what the mind thinks happened or what's happening. We don't always have to make sense of something. We don't always have to make some things, don't always have to be logical for us. So it's to kind of allow that mystical energy to be present in these sessions, because that's the energy that will ultimately give healing in an instant if needs be. It's not logical, right? So the theme of Fourknocks, is, in my opinion, the idea of shadow and light. When I first visited the land, it was really apparent to me that this energy existed. And then it was validated through the insights of Martin Brennan when he drew a comparison to the yin yang symbolism of the sister monuments, Fourknocks 1 and Fourknocks 2. We can say yin yang, masculine, feminine, sky, earth, shadow, and light. Ultimately, it is duality, but it's opposites of the same whole. So just like the two mounds, Fourknocks 1 and Fourknocks 2, human nature is to organize ourselves into what we deem desirable and undesirable, safe and unsafe. And we do this so that we can keep ourselves safe. It's part of human nature. The shadow represents if we reject parts of ourselves, abandon parts of ourselves that we deem unsafe or that we've learned throughout our life that are unsafe, they seem almost hidden and no longer accessible or noticeable within us, just like with Fourknocks 2, where it's, hidden and wild with overgrowth. It's not as noticeable as its twin, Fourknocks 1. This is the part of us that we're willing to show other people, we're willing to protect and even showcase to others, versus the parts that we want to keep hidden, even from our own conscious. We want to keep them unkept and wild with overgrowth so we don't have any access to them. But the desirable parts of us, they're the parts of us that we want to water and maintain and upkeep, because this is what we deem to be who we are. We don't want to be associated with Fourknocks 2, for example. We want to be associated as the observatory, where you go back, the part of us that's, attached to the stars, our light. So these unconscious or unintegrated aspects of ourselves are held within our shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves. And at the beginning, when we're unconscious of the shadow, we will engage in healing work and shadow work, but before that, we have to learn how to integrate those parts of ourselves to embrace wholeness. And then even though in a sense, we have rejected certain parts of ourselves and they are still present, they still live in our shadow, but we're not conscious of them. So in order for us to express our shadow, we have to, or for the shadow to be seen, we end up projecting these aspects of ourselves, typically the parts of us that we don't like, onto other people. And it's our way of saying, this is me and that's you. It's the ego's way, we'll say, of separating those parts of ourselves that are undesirable because they're unsafe. But we have to experience ourselves because all is one. We are operating in the universal law of one, and we are a whole human being. So in order for us to experience ourselves, we actually project those parts of ourselves that we don't like onto other people. And it feels like we're experiencing them even though we're trying to push them away. So when we haven't integrated our shadow, it's common to lash out at people for the behaviors that we don't like in ourselves, or we're triggered more often. I just want to talk about as well my energetic read. So when I tuned into the land, I met one of the mystical beings that protect the land. Seemed like a celestial being, feminine energy, protector of this passage grave, protector of the complex, particularly Fourknocks 1. Explained how humans, are deeply, deeply loved by the land, and even the mystical beings that live there and protect the land. And it's the fear that we carry. Although these beings can understand the weight of the fear that we carry as human beings and understand the immenseness of the fear, even they understand that and have compassion, even though they don't have that experience, they don't carry that fear. They understand that the human nature is to overcome those fears. And they want to help us overcome our fears, our shadows, the parts that we project, because that's what destroys their home. As much as it destroys our own home, it's actually destroying the home, like the greater home, the earth that sustains us. An example is like the fear of not having enough. So when you feel like you don't have enough, you constantly want more and more and more. We end up pillaging the land. We're creating these power over structures, and we're taking instead of giving. So just that simple fear of not having enough can actually cause so much destruction if we're not willing to take ownership and see it in ourselves. Because as much resistance as we have to doing that, when we do, we're actually able to bring more compassion. And instead of saying, no, that's not me, we can go, oh, that's me too. And when you see that, you can kind of welcome yourself home, have that compassion for those parts of yourself, and they can integrate back in. So you're not constantly going out in the world and meeting these parts of yourself that you find really difficult. But this celestial being, when I met her, she kind of gently like squeezed like my arms and like down my body, as if to say, like, you're human. Like, you're human. You're here in this world now. You can create. You hold the power of cause and effect. And human beings are really powerful because we hold light and we're matter. We get to create here. And yet here I am asking this, celestial being what to do. Asking, we ask our guides or, our team in spirit for guidance all the time, even though we're the ones that are here, able to actually create change, able to, cause and effect. So when we carry all of that wisdom that we already have, we can create the world that we want to live in. But her point to me, I suppose, this being's message was, we just let fear rule us. And we constantly seek guidance, but ultimately we're running away from our fears. And if we access the wisdom within us, it can actually transform, melt away those fears. So celebrating being human isn't necessarily about ridding all the fears that we have, okay? Because that's never going to end. It's about recalling all the parts of ourselves, the dark and the light, and it's recognizing that we're made of both. So using our light, the source of who we are, to illuminate our whole self. And we can actually celebrate being human by being aware of the duality that already exists within us, that makes up our world. So this way, then we're more willing to transcend it. So that's not going to be everybody's lifetime, and that's not going to be everyone's journey, and that's okay. Our willingness to illuminate our whole self, just that willingness alone is enough. When we're willing to welcome home darker aspects of ourselves, that's an act of grace. Because when our shadow has its home again, it's not running riot, burning down other homes. What I was shown in the energy of Fourknocks is, we don't need to know all of our shadow aspects or why we are the way we are. We don't need to know where our fear stems from. That's not to say that I understand that we need to, heal the root cause, but the mind really wants to come in and pick apart everything that happened and why it happened and give a reason and give logic to it. And I think this is because if we have a behavior we don't like and we can track it back to a time in our childhood where we were abused, it's easier for our mind to bring compassion to that behavior then, because we have someone to maybe blame or forgive. And it's easier for the mind to kind of organize and accept. But we don't have to do that. That's not what we're going to do today. Today, it's about recognizing and kind of basking in that awareness and that you're already deeply loved and accepted here and by the land. I felt like I was reassured that, the great love and compassion that the earth has for humans and our journeys is already there. And all we have to do in order to illuminate all that we are, all we need to do is say yes. Matt Can, if anybody knows Matt Can, he shared his thoughts about on YouTube about the year, this year 2022, and how it represents a quantum leap out of the old spiritual paradigm and into a new spiritual paradigm of fifth dimension unity consciousness. So this is basically where all the gifts and benefits that we know as like abundance and opportunity and inspiration and flow tend to come to us like miraculously. So if you think about now where we're at as a collective, doing the work, it tends to come from a place of unworthiness. Like when I clear all my energetic blocks, then I'm going to be able to have abundance. Or once I clean up my shadow, integrate my shadow or heal my father wounds, then I'll be able to have better relationships. And then we kind of get stuck in the cycle where the work is never done. We're always one more healing session away from the life that we want. I really resonate with Matt Cahn's insight because he says that we're radically stepping out of karmic patterns. So the patterns were so much clearing on ourselves through the law of karma. We get stuck in this loop of clearing. So as we clear a pattern, another comes. And we keep repeating cycle and cycle. So instead of what is, Matt says this, he says, instead of what is constantly in my way, what do I need to clear, or even blaming ourselves for why life is the way it is, we step into the self-empowerment and higher vibration of a new spiritual paradigm. So that really resonated with me, and I felt like it was quite complementary to the information that I was receiving from Fourknocks, because it's about embracing our humanness as an act of love rather than an act of defeat. So instead of seeking all the darker aspects of us, or the negative, what we perceive to be negative traits, we call on the light that is already within us, and we allow it to illuminate our whole self. So this will bring healing to the shadow aspects, those fears that we have, our expectations, attachments, and desires that anchor us in feeling unworthy. When we connect to our light, the grace within us, this is what allows us to have a mystical experience where healing is no longer prescribed to like a 6-week course or a 3-session minimum. When we are able to do this authentically, healing can happen in an instant. The thing is, it takes courage to be illuminated, because when we are illuminated, we see all the ways that we project onto other people. So we can't really go blaming and gossiping and judging because we see it was us all along. It's like we begin to operate within the law of one. And that way you have more compassion for others that are suffering with the same anchors that you had, because you're working within that universal law. You understand oneness. And most people are frightened to say yes to illumination because we tend to think, well, what will I lose? What am I giving up? And then Fourknocks asks, but what will you gain? You know, it's like saying, when you want nothing, what's that saying? When you want nothing, you gain everything. It's really difficult for human beings to do that. And I don't know if I have time. I really wanted to talk about, no, I'll sure see how it go. These structures that are built, you know, I mentioned before how we live in a very left brain society, whereas these structures, these sacred sites are typically, they seem to be created from the right brain approach. So like artistic expression, aesthetics, poetry, imagination, recognizing patterns in the whole. So right brain people are more comfortable with the unknown. Right brain people are probably more likely to say, yes, I surrender. I say yes to illumination, you know, where left brain people want to know why. What will I gain? What is this healing going to give me? You know? So again, there's nothing wrong with these things. It's just becoming aware of it. So the sacred structures, they follow the harmony of nature. So the monument is like, you know, there's lots of sacred geometry. It's aligned with the sky, the moon, the stars, the sun, and the cycle of human life. So there's a lot to learn. The left brain society, we kind of engage with life from a point of view, like, what am I going to gain? What's this going to produce? We're not creating for the love of creating or to be with our beloved, our source. Instead, it becomes like taking action in order to conquer, to build, or to earn. So, I mean, like that is definitely the society we live in. I've always said, like, even with the wellness industry, um that's really apparent right now. So, for me, one of my biggest examples for this is when I was in high school and I met with my guidance counselor to talk about my transcript and what I was going to do in university. And I already knew I wanted to study English because it was my favorite subject. When I studied English, I went like minutes or hours felt like minutes. I would do loads of extra credit work because I just loved it. I loved poetry and creative writing. It was a passion, and having English felt like I was safe because I had something that I loved. I had something that connected me to the flow. I was in the flow when I was working within English, and yeah, I really loved it. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. So when I met the guidance counselor, I wasn't really worried because I kind of thought, oh, well, I know what I'm going to do. And she looked at my transcript. She said, okay, you're good at English. I said, yeah. And she said, are you going to, do you want to be a teacher? And I said, no, I don't think I want to be a teacher. And she said, do you want to be a journalist? And I said, no, I don't think I want to be a journalist. I said, I don't know. I just know I want to study English. And she kind of laughed at me, kind of like, I get it, like, English, history, even politics and philosophy, it's kind of almost like a privilege to study for the sake of studying. I didn't know it at the time, but I get it now. I get her way of thinking. And I kind of just felt really embarrassed because I was expecting her to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. You love it, go for it. And she kind of, shut it down like, well, you're not going to make any money if you don't even know what you're going to do. So I was like, oh, okay. And she said, well, you're good at business too, so do that. And I said, okay. And then I went and I did a bachelor's in business and didn't really do anything with business per se. I worked in finance because I had a business studies degree, but that wasn't my passion. Hours certainly didn't feel like minutes. So again, it's interesting when we notice, like, we're always seeking reason. It's very solar plexus energy, when we're seeking reason, productivity, earning potential. What's this going to give me? It's very left brain approach, and it actually can anchor us. So it often causes us to even like betray ourselves. Me choosing business over English, even though I was really naive and, young, I still betrayed myself, So betrayal, even self-betrayal, does not lead to all of your wishes fulfilled. So, my guidance counselor was offering guidance from a place of fear and, reason and logic. It's very solar plexus. But, what she didn't realize is that the source energy that I was tapping into through my love of English and that exponential, limitless potential, that may be doing something for the sheer love of it and appreciation for it, where hours feel like minutes, and when you're in the flow, that you're actually connected to the highest part of yourself, you're connected to your light. And in my opinion now, that's the best guidance, that source could give or the universe could give. And if I understood that at the time, that what I was actually tapping into, I would have used my intuition as my own guidance counselor, because who knows what doors would open. It's the same with healing. When we enter into healing with a left brain mindset, we say kind of, okay, when I heal this, what will I get? If I heal these money wounds, will I get loads of money? And, it's coming from a place of reason and logic, but also fear. And yeah, I think, again, the wellness industry is $1 billion industry, and it's making big bucks selling these anchors. So, reprogram your subconscious to become a millionaire, heal your wounds and travel the world. Like, it's like this stuck in a loop of what can I have when I'm good enough? But it's masked between with yoga and things that have been taken from other lineages that, anyway, won't go there. But anyway, that paradigm, that's over. Okay, that's now done. we can hang on for dear life, but it's not going to bring us our greatest joy. It's not going to be the limitless potential that we're all truly seeking, that freedom. So we're actually now operating from the paradigm that you are already good enough, and we can actually heal core wounds, integrate the shadow, reprogram our mind within one authentic, genuine prayer, within a meditation, connecting to source. It's that kind of instant, it's instant healing. So it's moving out of the mind. So the consequence of that commitment, most likely will end up in abundance and better relationships and a more fulfilling life. But it probably won't look like the Instagram version of that. But you won't care because you'll be free. You'll likely be working and doing this so you can be a channel for grace, so you can hold more love in your field, so you're not going to hurt people anymore, because you want to stop passing off your pain, and you want to contribute to the world just by being in it, just by radiating as your beautiful self. And there's no like promotion at the end of this work. This is it. This is about accessing your light and not having any expectations, because our expectations are anchoring us, and I think that's where we're kind of getting stuck at the moment. So thanks for letting me share that little extra bit before we move into the meditation, because I think that's important. I want that to kick up some stuff in us where, oh yeah, like I do that, like I do expect this, I feel like I'm entitled to that, and I kind of can be a bit self-righteous when it comes to that. It's like, even when I was more insecure about being like a spiritual person and what that looked like, I would judge other people who didn't look as spiritual. So like I could be sitting at the couch watching telly, having like, I don't know, junk food like fish and chips or something, and then I'm looking on Instagram at someone who claims to be spiritual. This is the mindset, but are boozing or out on a night out, and then I'm like, oh, look at them. They're not even spiritual, and they say they're spiritual. They love their yoga, but here they are, and then that self-righteousness, for that split second, I feel just that relief. Oh, thank God. Like I thought I wasn't spiritual, but I am compared to them. And, when you're able to see that in yourself, when you see, oh, I'm actually just projecting, because it's actually a fear of mine that people will, not accept me as a spiritual person. When you kind of overcome those fears, again, done with a prayer. It wasn't a 12-week course, one prayer. But you have to be willing to let go of your attachments. You have to be willing to be maybe even humiliated or loved. It doesn't, the unknown, we need to be willing to accept the unknown. And that's all it really takes. That's all transformation is. It's just all about saying yes. So with that being said, we're going to move into the meditation. So these meditations are, they're quite deep. It's difficult for me as an energy worker. I really like to be quite specific and precise exactly how we're going to move through these sessions. But while I'm working with the land, it has challenged me to hold back and allow the land, the energy of the earth and the universe and other energies that are supporting us, to actually lead these sessions. And it makes more sense to me now as I am working with that like mystical energy and how healing can happen in an instant. So taking my own mind out of this, my own will to control, and allow kind of more creative freedom when it comes to our healing, because we're all different. So these can be quite deep. Get into a position that feels comfortable for you. So I like to sit down with something against my back so that I'm comfortable, but I'm also quite aware or alert. Yeah, it's okay. Some people worry that they're not that visual. You don't need to visualize everything or everything perfectly. Just do your best and concentrate on more so on the experience and how something feels rather than what you see. Trust your intuition. This is a chance for you to share or to build your own relationship with Ireland, with the land, with yourself. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to get into a comfortable spot. And I invite you to close your eyes if that feels safe. And we're going to come together as a group. We're going to take an energetic tour of Fourknocks. So let's imagine that there's this really beautiful energetic bubble that is surrounding our group. And that includes the people that are here live and also people that are watching this as a recording. And we're going to resource ourselves today and our group container. So let's imagine a really beautiful earth cord deep in the earth. Maybe it's a nice golden brown or shimmering gold cord deep in the earth. And it's going to travel up through the soil to attach to the bottom of our container. And we're going to allow this cord to get as big as it needs to be, even as wide as our container. And we're also going to welcome in universal energy. So let's imagine above our container, universal energy. It can be a golden light with lots of sparkles. Let's imagine that pours into our group container, our connection to the universe, to the cosmos. And we're going to welcome in some earth energy and universal energy to collaborate. We're going to welcome in our guides and our vaster wisdom. And we're going to set some intentions. So we'll set the intention that we're all welcome here today. This is a safe space where we get to learn more about ourselves. This is a space where I share my truth, but your truth gets to be centered. This is a space where our connection to our intuition is honored and strengthened. A space where we reconnect to the land of Ireland, to the earth, and to ourselves in a way that brings new insights, deeper wisdom, and healing. We're also going to set the intention that we could do really big healing work here. Healing that gets to be easeful, transformative, even instantaneous, if that's called for. Resistance is welcome here, and so are big emotions, and they're going to be gently released and loved and composted by the earth. We're going to specifically set the intention to connect authentically with the sacred land of Fourknocks, to build our own unique relationship to this land and the mystical beings that live here. And we set the intention to work with these energies to illuminate all of who we are, so that we can welcome shadowy aspects of ourselves home with open arms and lots of compassion. We're going to set the intention that we are willing, we are wanting to connect to the light within us and allow that light to transform us. So today we celebrate being human. If there's any personal intentions that you'd like to set for this session, you can do so in your mind now. We're going to welcome in earth energy and universal energy to collaborate with these intentions, to share their wisdom and deeper insights. And I spoke, a lot at the beginning. It may have kicked up a lot, or Maybe some of it didn't resonate, and you have full permission to release anything that didn't resonate with you or your truth. You can imagine any information that didn't really ring true for you, just allow it to sit outside of your bubble. We can even imagine any energy that's ready to be released or doesn't support our intentions. Just allow that energy to be released into that earth cord. There you go. And let's welcome in lots of sparkles, even streams of grace into our group container, bringing us together as community and also allowing us to remain individuated. Nice. So let's bring our attention now to our personal aura, so that magnetic field, our own personal energy bubble that surrounds us. We can imagine that this bubble is around 3 feet all the way around us, 360. And we're going to ground ourselves. So again, let's imagine a really beautiful earth cord moving up deep in the earth, through the earth soil to attach to the bottom of your feet. And we're going to set the intention, any energy that's in my field, that's inauthentic to me, gets to be released now into the earth. Just allow your intuition to find any inauthentic energies and just allow them to be released. The earth's going to heal and compost any energy that doesn't belong to you. And now we're going to, again, welcome in that universal energy. We can imagine a cord from the universe pouring divine love and light, all those sparkles into our aura. You can welcome in streams of grace, however that shows for you. Maybe that's golden light or white light, and just allow it to pour into over your aura, moving through your energy, your centers. Just like the sun, it burns away any energy that doesn't belong to you. And again, anything I said that does not resonate gets to sit outside your aura. You don't have to take anything on. We're going to recall our authentic energy. So above your head, imagine there's a really beautiful golden sun. And in this sun, we're going to recall all of our authentic energy through all dimensions of space and time, from other people's energy, from work, from the internet. We're going to recall it all into that golden sun. And with the help of our guides, this sun is going to update our energies, enhance them, empower them, bless them. And we're going to imagine that we pull a lever of this sun. And when we do, all of our own authentic energies pour over us, moving through our aura, our energy body, reintegrating themselves so that we're full of our own authentic energy. Now that we're resourced and we're here together as a group, we're going to visit Fourknocks. We're going to enter the sacred land of Fourknocks energetically. So let's imagine that we go there and we see there is a really beautiful grassy mound. And this is Fourknocks 1, the passage grave. And we meet the celestial being, the protector of this land. And we're going to say hello and introduce ourselves. Maybe our name, where we're from. We're going to offer this celestial guardian our complete gratitude. However that feels supportive for you. Maybe that means opening your heart, offering love. Maybe it means offering a whole ocean of gratitude. We can even offer a sky full of flowers. And we're going to offer this land, we're going to offer Fourknocks its very own elemental healing. We can do this by imagining Fourknocks in a bubble, if that's easier. We're going to first say hello to this land, thank it for its purpose, its healing. And we're going to ask it, how can I support you in what you're up to? So we're going to offer this land a healing. So let's imagine that we wash over the passage grave, this grassy mound with beautiful earth energy. However that shows up for you, just allow your intuition to bring up earth energy and wash over this mound, allowing it to move through any density, anything that's blocked or stuck. We're going to wash over with nourishing and soothing water. We're going to welcome in the element of fire and allow the fire to wash over this mound, wash over Fourknocks, transmuting any karmic energies, any energetic debris that does not belong to the land, maybe other people's projections, any cords, any enmeshment. We're going to welcome in the element of wind and offer final clearing. Let's welcome in rainbow of frequencies and allow this rainbow of frequencies to pour over Fourknocks. We can even imagine earth energy moving up from the earth to fill its own aura. And Fourknocks has full permission to ask for whatever it needs and whatever it wants from the earth and from the universe. We're going to allow Fourknocks to heal and evolve. We're going to tell Fourknocks who we are, where we're from, and what our hopes and dreams are. We can ask if Fourknocks has any blessings, healings, upgrades that support our hopes and dreams and help us in achieving them, or if it has any blessings for us in helping us to celebrate being human. And we're going to walk up the stairs of the mound. So there are steps on the grassy part of the mound. We're going to take those steps up and take a seat in a comfortable grassy spot at the top of the mound, overlooking at the surrounding land of Meath. Maybe you lie down and you look at the stars above. You can feel the really supportive stability of the earth beneath you and feel the vast cosmic energy above you. And you recognize that you're made of both. Fourknocks is going to support us in healing, help us to celebrate being human. And when we celebrate being human, we not only enhance our life, but we enhance the life around us of all beings. So Fourknocks gifts us with this really beautiful deep green light. We can imagine that this light moves from the mound and it begins to swirl in a clockwise motion around you and around the mound. And this green energy is aligned with the universe and with the earth and with our heart center. And just allow Fourknocks to move gently around us, activating your heart, supporting your heart and expanding so that we can welcome more of our own light. And also this light is going to keep us safe and protect us as we do this really big work. So as that green light continues to move in a clockwise motion around us and around the mound, we're going to bring our awareness to our body. And we kicked up a lot today. I always trust that whatever is being kicked up is ready to be healed, it's ready to be released. Sometimes that can show up in resistance. Notice where resistance is shown in your body today. Resistance can be tension, guarding. Where is there tension in your body? Do you feel like a tightness in your back or in your chest? Is there gripping in your jaw? Maybe a pang in your stomach. Just bring awareness to wherever resistance is shown up for you today. And as we bring our awareness to this tension, we're going to bring lots of gratitude. We're going to recognize that this tension is working really hard to keep you safe. And this resistance is doing its very best. Sometimes when we bring that kind of awareness and that validation, it kind of softens, opens gently. Notice as this tension softens and melts away, bring awareness to maybe emotions that are beneath this tension. We can wash over this area with some earth energy. The earth's going to wash through any density, anything that's blocked or stuck. Again, notice if there's any more levels to guarding, any more walls. And again, we're going to thank this resistance, those walls that work really hard to keep us safe. And we can also thank them, but let them know that we're ready now. We're ready to heal, to integrate any fears or parts of us that we previously rejected. And it's okay. And just allow that softness to happen. Just to release any guarding and walls. We can bring in the element of water and allow the water to nourish and heal, to wash over this area, soothing any deeper emotions that are stuck or that we're hiding, that we're being protected. And we can wash over with the element of fire. Fire is going to transmute any karmic energies, any cords of enmeshment. We're also going to welcome in the element of wind and allow the wind to provide a final clearing of this area. And let's imagine we welcome up earth energy deep in the earth into our feet and travel up to this place where these emotions are. Maybe we can label them and maybe we can't. And that's okay. We're also going to welcome in that cosmic energy, recognizing that we are of the stars too. Let's bring in some of that cosmic energy from our crown all the way down to that place in our body that was holding these emotions. And now that we've got these resources, let our intuition find any energies that are not ours. Maybe they're ancestral, maybe they're from our family, maybe they're from society. And we're going to allow our intuition to find all these energies that are inauthentic and just allow them to be released into the earth. We can only work on what is ours. And let's just bring in that rainbow of frequencies. Allow it to pour in through our head, down to these emotions, this energy that's trapped. And we're going to give it full permission to be totally loved and totally cared for. Giving it full permission to ask for whatever it needs and whatever it wants from the earth and from the cosmos, from the universe. We can welcome in golden cosmic light and allow it to infuse any emotions, any energy that's here, allowing it to be fully healed, fully complete, and allow it to just burst into light. And this light might want to move into the universe to be recycled. It may want to be composted by the earth. And some of this light may want to be reintegrated. So just use your intuition and allow that to happen really naturally. Nice. Let's refresh our grounding cord. So let's refresh our connection to the earth, imagining a brand new earth cord. And this can be a different color, a different texture. And just allow it to travel up through the soil and attach to the bottom of your feet. Allow this earth cord to get as wide as your aura. Just exhale into this connection. Allow the earth to support you. And now that we're better supported, we can ask the question, where are my anchors? What are my anchors? Those parts of myself that I rejected, abandoned. What about those self-righteous aspects of me? Entitled? Any fears? The things that cause me to betray myself. Where are they in my field? What do they look like? Maybe we see symbols, chains, cords that are binding us to things, moments in time, people, even ways of being, even desires. Or maybe you don't see anything, but you feel tension, you feel a heaviness in your body. Just thinking about those anchors. Follow those images and follow that tension. Welcome them now. And trust that whatever's coming up as well is ready to be welcomed home. It's ready to be healed with the light that you already are. And all we need to do is bring our awareness to those places. And again, that could be visual, or it could be a felt, it could be a feeling, or a knowing. We're going to bring in lots of earth energy. Let's imagine earth energy that comes up to support these anchors. And this earth energy might look like cords to come up and attach to the images that we see. Or it may come up as earth energy into the body to flood and nourish the heaviness that we're holding on to. That fear that's kind of driving us. And we're also going to welcome in cosmic energy. Let's imagine that cosmic energy is full of sparkles, natural healing properties, incredible wisdom and insight. Let's welcome that cosmic energy in to pour in and infuse, again, these images of our anchors, any cords, or to pour into the heaviness and tension that we might be carrying, or both. And the earth and the cosmic, the universal energy, are going to give us permission. Allow yourself to receive their permission to be human, permission to be perfect yet flawed, to be shadow and light, to be masculine and feminine, to be sky and earth, to have this deep want to follow your heart, but to be driven by our need to survive. Just allow yourself to receive the earth's permission for you to be human and the cosmos' permission for you to be human. Allow the earth to share with you new frameworks and examples of compassion. Compassion for duality, how hard it is to be human. And we're also going to allow ourselves to receive the Earth's permission and the cosmos' permission to be loved exactly as we are. And now lastly, let's bring in that golden cosmic energy and allow it to infuse any images, any cords, or any heaviness that was once in your body. Just bring that golden cosmic light in, allowing these energies to be fully healed and complete, and then burst into light. However much wants to be recycled by the universe gets to be recycled by the universe. However much wants to move into the earth gets to move into the earth. And however much of this transformed energy wants to be reintegrated for you, you can allow that to happen if that feels good. And now we're going to move into our heart center, our fourth energy center, bringing our awareness to our heart, our chest, even our back, our arms. Just bring your attention to your fourth energy center. Allow your heart to get as big as it wants to get. Imagine that heart energy being as expansive as it truly is. And we're going to allow our intuition to find any energy that's ready to be released now into the earth. We can wash over our heart with earth energy. Allow the earth to move through any density or anything that's stuck or blocked. We're going to welcome in the element of water to nourish and soothe our heart center. We'll welcome in the element of fire. The fire is going to transmute any cords of enmeshment, any karmic energies. We're going to invite the fire to transmute any contracts, vows, or agreements that are ready to be cancelled, and allow them to be cancelled all in the background. We just trust it's happening. And we're going to bring in the element of wind and allow the wind to offer final clearing to our heart. We can bring in that rainbow frequencies to pour into our heart center, bringing up earth energy. And just allow your heart to ask for whatever it needs and whatever it wants from the earth and from the universe. And allow our heart to heal and evolve. Your light is waiting. So expansion is ready to happen. And all you have to do is say yes. Yes to illumination. Yes to wholeness. Imagine a golden light from your heart. Allow this golden light to pour into your lower centers. Moving through your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, into the base of your spine, your root, through your legs and into the earth. Moving through the channels of the earth and back up into your body. We can imagine this golden light from the heart begins to move up from our heart into our fifth center, into our throat chakra, into our mind's eye, into the crown and beyond, mixing with the cosmic energy, upper channels. And then traveling back down into our body, back to the heart. Allow this light to travel around your physical body, moving into your blood. This gold light moves into your bones, organs, our tissues, our muscles, even our cells. Saying yes to transformation, even on a cellular level, if that's what's needed. And we're going to allow this light to move out into our aura, into that energetic field, our bubble that surrounds us. Allow this golden light to move into the edges of our whole being and illuminate our entire field. And we can stay quietly in our mind. I welcome all parts of me home with compassion, with an open heart. I am whole. I now allow the light within me to transform me. And we're going to allow this healing energy to move back in time, sending it back to our younger versions of ourselves. So they get to be loved and transformed by our own light. We're going to allow this energy to heal our present time. And we can hit the reset button and allow this work to update our self-concept and our identity. We can hit the reset button, allowing this work to update, to reset our belief structures and our reality, to heal and evolve our relationships and how we move through relationships. And we're going to send this energy forward in time so that we're connected to our highest timeline. And now let's imagine that we're coming back into our group container. Let's spend just one moment just sharing this energy, this light with the world, with any being that wants to experience light, love, and wholeness. Let's share this energy with the land of Ireland, with the earth. Let's thank the earth and the universe, our guides, Fourknocks. We can allow Fourknocks to rest. We can say thank you to the guides and the protectors of this land. We're going to send back each other's energy very consciously and recall our authentic energy. So for the last time, let's imagine above our head, there's a really beautiful sun, and this sun is going to recall all of our authentic energy into that sun. Our guides are going to bless it and update our energies. And again, pull that lever and imagine all of our beautiful, authentic energy is pouring back into your aura, reintegrating back home to you. And we can imagine as a group, we say goodbye to each other. We're going to leave Fourknocks. Bye for now. And whenever you're ready, take your time to open your eyes, wiggle, move around, and just come back to this video. So thank you so much for spending your time connecting today, connecting with Fourknocks and celebrating being human.